We bought Continental House. There was Don Day, myself, and Marjorie, my wife. Don didn't do anything. Mark did the heavy lifting. She cleaned the toilets and collected the rent. We refinanced it twice. There's no equity left in it. The rents today, I looked at the rents today in Continental House, divided by the rents in that book, in my handwriting, in 1993, divided by 16. The rents have gone up 4.1% a year at Continental House. And by Continental House is no Taj Mahal. It's 55 little units down in South Omaha, built in 1966. You don't get much more plain Jane than that. 4.1% a year. That's what's happened at Continental House, a property that you all own. So it's happening, and it will continue to happen. And that's why investing in bricks and sticks and that mortar out there is good. Apartments will continue to appreciate in value because the rents are going to go up 3-4% a year. I was kind of surprised. We just found this the other day in the office, getting some things ready for this meeting, and I had to run the numbers, and sure enough, 4.1% a year. I don't usually use notes, but you folks have seen all you folks tonight. It's got my mind a little rattled, so I'm going to have to look at a couple of things. But I wanted to go to the next slide, to where we are today. Continental House Fund, 1993, April, is up the left-hand side. And of course, you can see what's happened over the last 16 years. We've got 37 properties, just under 9,000 units. You own property in 10 states and 25 cities. We're going to continue to run these properties. We're going to continue to generate cash flow. You've heard a lot of talk about HA1, HA2, and we now hit 500 investors, so we're going to have to start talking about another partnership. Don't worry about it. I'm in there with you. Shirley's going to talk about it when she gets up here to talk. We're going to keep our cash flow going for you and for me in HA2, 3, 4, however many HAs we have. There will always be the opportunity for the investors that made this company continue to reinvest and receive cash flow. That is influencing the apartment industry. I mentioned them in my April 1st letter to you all. New apartment construction. If there's a lot of new apartment construction, that's competition. We have to lower our rents to compete with brand new structures being built across the street sometimes. Now, eventually they're going to charge more than we are, because lowest since World War II. I was talking to a friend of mine in Denver, a prominent broker in Denver last week. The 3 complexes that were in Denver last year in 2008 have all been foreclosed upon. So even a lot of the apartments that have come out of the ground in the last year aren't surviving to the first tenant. So we have no competition from new construction, and we're not going to have for a couple of years, because when the economy finally turns around and the bankers decide to make loans for new construction, it's going to take 18 months to 24 months for that new construction to get out of the ground. We got some great days coming ahead for cash flow because of that factor. Home purchases. Don't need to talk much about that. 2002, 2003, 2004, the real estate world was on fire. Everything was great. We weren't. We had our investors going in the front door and out the back door. They were all buying a house. Of course, a lot of them were subprime mortgages, and now they're back renting apartments. But nevertheless, we don't have that competition right now. Number 4, I'm skipping number 3. Number 4, property management. We got the best property management in the United States. Dan Klattenhoff, Doug Hastings are going to talk to property management. I'll come back to 3. I skipped 3 on purpose. 5, capital expenditures. We're spending about $500 to $600, sometimes $700, counting ongoing capitalization, appliances, carpets, and so forth, plus roofs and all the big stuff. We're spending $600 per unit per year on 9,000 units. That's $5.4 million a year we are spending, you are spending, we are spending on capital improvement on our properties to keep them first class so we can get our tenants. So we got 4 of the 5 right now that are extremely in our favor in the apartment business. The wild card right now is unemployment. I can't control unemployment. And we're watching the unemployment. It's not a huge thing, but it's something we're watching very closely. It causes vacancies. If the vacancies get too severe, we could cut a point on our disbursement. If we do, don't get worried, don't get excited. It'll be for a quarter or 2 or 3, and I'm not saying we're going to do that. I am not saying we're going to do that. I'm just saying we're watching it every quarter. We got to look at October, we got to look at January, we have to look at next July, and we'll see where this unemployment bottoms out. It's probably going to bottom out here pretty soon, around 10 or 11% nationwide. We're very fortunate because we're in tertiary markets and secondary markets. We're in cities where the unemployment is better than most, i.e. Omaha. We have 3 properties here in Omaha. We're 4 or 5% unemployment. So we got 4 of the factors that drive the cash flow working positively for us, and we'll be watching the third one very carefully. Henry Ford. I got to tell you about Henry Ford. I told you I'm leaving most of the meat to my colleagues. In 1919, Henry Ford was a visionary, building his automobile company, and there was an article in the Chicago paper written about Henry Ford, said he was an ignorant man. Ignorant. It must have been an article of somebody who was considerably jealous of Ford. Whatever. Ford sued the Chicago paper for the insult, and it went to court. And when it got to court, the attorney for the newspaper was questioning Ford with all kinds of ridiculous questions. Well, about the technicality of the automobile engine and the automobile itself and the tires. And Ford didn't know the answers to all these technicalities. Ford was a visionary person that pulled people together to build his company and make things work. And he couldn't answer all the questions. And so therefore he was ignorant, right? No. Finally, Ford got pretty frustrated. This is a true story. And he shook his finger at that young attorney and he said, "Young man," he said, "I don't need to answer your questions. On my desk in my office, I have a series of buttons. And if I want to know about the mechanics of the internal combustion engine and this and that or the other technical aspect of it, I punch this button for my engineer. And he comes in and tells me all I need to know. If I have a financial problem, I punch this button.